Yo, what's up? Hey, what's up?
Hey there, how you doing, brother Stinson?
Doing good, man. I missed Friday. I thought Friday was, I didn't know Friday was Friday.
Cool deal, cool deal. Well, we gonna, as always, we gonna give everybody time to get up in here, man. We'll probably get started about 10, 15 minutes after that.
Oh, that's cool, man. I'm about to ride to the store and then do some stuff.
Cool bean.
I saw that Bitcoin trade, but I didn't want to jump in because I don't know how Bitcoin moves. It might move like that US 30.
Yeah, Bitcoin is a little volatile when she moves. She is volatile.
Yeah, I got a question. What's your number for people that's gonna be doing like Bitcoin and US 30? At what amount should you start looking into that?
I mean, it's all really like based off of your personal preference, really. Like, what are you looking to risk in the market? How much are you looking to risk, really?
Yeah, I get that, but it's like, all right, so the first time I did US 30, I didn't know what I was doing. And my account was like at $200. And I did the trade or whatever, and I saw it. I mean, I came out good. I got lucky or whatever because it didn't go below, like my allowance, I guess, my allotments or whatnot. But then I made a profit off of it. But I can imagine like if I would have stayed in it and it would have dropped, I would have lost like, what I'm saying, like 75 to $100.
Yeah, yeah, you definitely blow a account messing with U30.
Yeah,
That's
that's all I want
cool.
to ask. What's the minimum that you suggest to be in somebody's account before they start messing with like US 30 and Bitcoin?
Me personally, I say $1,000, but you have a lot of traders say 5,000. Like it all depends on like how much you looking to risk and invest. Your broker really, yeah, because there's a few brokers out there now there that allow you to trade smaller lot size with U30, like fair
Yeah.
forex.
What's the name lets you Hugo Sway lets you do a .01 on.
Yeah, that'll eat you up though. This broker I'm talking about, it'll let you trade lower than that.
Oh, really? It's getting to Pipette.
Yeah, yep. Fair forex.
These are good opportunities to train up on these short runs like this. They get experience, but
What up, sis? What up, sis?
yeah, I've been out a while lately.
Bruh.
What's going on there?
Not much. Been a long day. So glad to get on this call, man. That let me know the day about over with.
I know that's right. I know that's
How
right.
you been doing?
I've been doing good. I've been doing good. Hey, you ain't getting none of that Bitcoin money over the weekend.
You know what? I did not get
Oh,
in.
yeah.
and I'm gonna tell you why I didn't get in that Bitcoin. I don't know why, but I hurt my back Friday. Well, I didn't hurt it. I don't know. I just woke up Saturday morning and couldn't hardly move.
You forever heard me something.
I told you I'm an old ass bitch. I done told y'all that. Y'all ain't listening. Yeah, I'm about to listen. But I didn't hurt. Honestly, I didn't do anything. I've been on the heating pad all weekend, and today I'm gonna tell you what helped me. Now listen, it did not help my shoulder, but that CBD oil, the chiropractor had gave me some for my shoulder. It didn't help, but honey, I put that shit on my back, and today I was able to actually get up and move around.
Oh, okay. That's what's
Yeah.
up.
It's something to that CBD now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sounds like I'm joining the party. What's going on?
Yes, you are.
Something with this stuff I got to break down too.
no, bread.
Hold on. Am I hearing something about U30 breaking down? Is that what I'm hearing?
Who said that?
Oh no, I ain't
I'm
saying anything
asking.
about you 30. I said what I'm breaking down. I was talking about her back pain.
Right.
Oh, I thought I was about to say, oh, what?
See,
What's going on with U30 real quick? I'm trying to
see,
figure this
Mr.
out.
Carson. Hey, but you might be speaking it into existence, though. We never know.
Hey, I'm
I
taking
want to
me a trip
know.
out to Colorado in like 3 weeks.
Yeah,
What?
I'm looking at it now. It's been sitting, but it did level off last week. So I'm trying to figure out what it's going to do. Is it going to have a pullback before it decides to spring up a little bit more? But I'm not so confident that, all of our economics are sound enough to bring that up that way, and that there's not some underlying problems, especially when the Fed is coming up on Wednesday. So, but let me start talking about my uniforms.
Shoot, you already know. Trump gonna pump it up as high as he can get it. That's why he ain't never said nothing about giving no positive speech. Have you noticed when people interview him about his RNC speech, he said, "Oh, it's going to be very positive. I feel like it's going to be the most positive speech ever, and I don't see any dark cloud or anything negative in it."
Hey, I was mad. I went to smack Trump after that bombing and at that military base back in December. I wanted to smack him when he got up on the podium because I thought I was getting ready to make a lot more money. And when he said, shot the price of gold right back down.
Yeah, man, he know how to manipulate them markets. I tell you that. If
Oh,
they start,
just so long as somebody pushes U30 down in like the next day or two down to my target, I don't care what they do.
yeah.
Me. Woo. Boy, I needed that. That was a good laugh right there. He said he wanted to smack Trump.
Man, I wanted to smack him. I thought he was gonna get up there and say something stupid. Man, I was hot when he got up there and said some shit that made sense.
I'm telling you, he that master manipulator. He already know. He ain't no fool now. Contrary to what other people might think, now he ain't no fool.
You can't be a fool to win the presidency. I don't care what anybody think. These politicians
Thank
been doing it for 60 years, and this man
Thank
came up and did it in 4 months.
Exactly. Thank you. And
But
was projected to lose by every major analyst in the world. He was projected to lose, and that motherfucker said,
they expected 90% of the black population to go out and vote for Trump, which didn't happen. And the other crazy
No,
thing
Hillary.
is,
"Yeah,
no, I mean that's what I mean. They expect us to go out and vote for Hillary, but I tell you this, right? I don't understand why people are fighting so hard to keep together a system that we've been trying to destroy for years.
Trying to get the breakdown for years.
And broke the whole thing down.
And that's what I've been screaming about his situation the whole time. People keep saying, you support Trump. No, it's not that I support Trump. Trump is the Claymore mine that you throw into the middle of the system to blow that shit to smithereens so that you can sit down at the table and renegotiate the social contract. That's
You know
what
what?
Trump represents.
There is only one problem with that theory. I don't care what he blew up, what he blow up, he can get reelected. Hell, he talking about doing a third term, which is unconstitutional. He can't do it. But if it's a way to do it, he'll find a way to do it. The only thing about that is you cannot blow this up without rewriting the Constitution and the laws of the 51 states.
No.
Amendments are for. That's exactly what amendments are for, to rewrite the Constitution.
That's what I mean. That's what's
Every
going to
time
have
they
to be
make an
done.
amendment. Like what people don't realize is this, like every time they complain about something that he said or whatever, they're going against their own beliefs because it's the freedom of speech. Like, like you're upset because he said this, but like that's the Constitution.
Right.
Yeah, there's protection of that right or whatnot. Just because no other president has talked like that before doesn't mean that he doesn't have a right to say whatever he wants to say.
Not that he don't have the right, but there are some things that should be done with dignity. The United States is at the bottom of the barrel in eye view anyway. At least the office of the presidency maintained some decorum. Like when I go on my job, this voice right here don't even go. I have a white voice. JT tell you that. It's a different, there are certain levels and certain places that certain things should be acceptable. Just like back in the day, how our men used to dress, how our women used to dress, what's going on nowadays is we have blown it up. Not always blowing. Yeah, not always. Just because
Blowing
you
stuff
can
up is
do
not
something.
always good. I understand.
Yeah,
I
just
understand
because
where
you
you're coming
can
from.
do it doesn't mean it should be done. And if you want to say it, there are different ways to say it. Let me tell you something. Ronald Reagan cussed Gorbachev and all. He cussed all of them out without cussing one of them. Do you hear me? He was the most undiplomatic diplomat that they had. And that's who, believe it or not, Trump has modeled himself after. It's just that he doesn't have the
Trump
tact.
is not as eloquent. Yeah, he's not polished when it comes to that.
He don't have the tact that Ronald Reagan had.
Yeah,
He's
but and
got
then you got
the American bravado.
Ronald Reagan spent what 12 years in politics before he became president, governor of California.
Not to mention he was in Hollywood before then, so he had to, he had to be able to act.
Yeah.
Trump didn't act, and contrary to popular belief, Apprentice was not an acting gig for Trump, so he didn't have to act. He was literally the boss of the show, so he didn't care. So he could come in there and act how he wanted to act because it was his shit.
And he's doing the same thing with the country.
And that's exactly what he is doing. But again, when I say blow stuff up, I'm looking at everybody is content with this money system, so long as they get their paycheck every Friday. And I'm saying, hey, wait a minute. The inflation that they're throwing at us by printing money and having a cotillion effect against everything is killing us. But we can't see that because we're frogs in the pot, accepting that paycheck every Friday, not realizing that the inflation is eating away at that same paycheck. And okay, the stimulus is not helping, but you blow this thing up and then have to come back and renegotiate with some sound money politics. Everybody benefits from that. I don't care who you are. If they can't manipulate your money, you're in a win-win position. So that's the biggest issue. So
that's true. Now, that's true.
Even when I was there, I never knew my symptoms. Keep us apart. Talk to my doctor about Humira. I heard Humira can help get.
But Carmen, don't think we forgot about you. We want to know about Brexit.
Man, I've been waiting on Brexit forever. I'm tired of Brexit and them.
Well, see, you got to also think about it. Didn't what's his name have coronavirus when it first came out? Boris Johnson supposedly contracted. So I mean, okay, we got Brexit, we got coronavirus. I mean, but okay, not only just tell it, but give us all of the details. What did you use in order to actually stave it off? You know, what's going on here? You know, what's good? Give us the details. I want the
Well,
down and dirty.
they actually did tell what his treatment was. He used that plasma therapy, and he used Trump's drug. He had like 3 or 4 different therapies before they began to work. Yeah, he liked it, then took out. But I think he was one of the first ones that did that plasma
Gene
whatever they
therapy.
call
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Interesting. But now that's interesting too, because you know everybody was making it out that seemed as if Trump mentioning it was the most ludicrous thing in the world. And okay, well, if he's mentioning that and it works, what else is he mentioning that's truthful? That we're being given a lie because the people that are pursuing the lie need us to believe that lie.
I
So
don't
it's
think they
just
were
it's a
mad
lot.
at him for mention. I don't think they were mad at him for mentioning it. It's that the FDA, what they dumbass, says that the drug is only licensed for malaria treatment, and you know they always talking about what this is specifically for and what that is specifically for, when they can't even get our food and stuff together. Like, if you saw the ingredient, I'm gonna post a couple of pictures in the group of the ingredients in our food and the ingredients in places like Switzerland and Germany. Even their
And
chocolate.
even UK, I know what you're about to
Right.
post. Yeah.
It's totally different. Yeah, I used to
It's
live there,
ridiculous,
right?
but it's the same companies. Like, it's Kraft macaroni and cheese.
Yeah,
It's Heinz ketchup. That it's the same manufacturers. They can give
So you
us.
have to ask the question, why do they give us all of this generic BS when they can give us the real thing and not
It ain't
have half of
generic.
the
It
effects?
ain't generic. It's full of additives and things and high fructose corn syrup, things that make you fat, things that make your arteries clog, things that put inflammation
Exactly.
in your body, things that give you diabetes and high blood pressure. It's all bad, preserved, all bad shit. You know.
check this out. My
The other question is
ex-girlfriend,
why aren't we asking for it? Why aren't we demanding that they clean up our food?
90%
one
of
of
the
my
people don't even know that. Like, I wouldn't have known that. Like, my sister had to spend a year in Switzerland, and she sent me some of the chocolate. She was telling me, sis, I promise you, this chocolate is not the same chocolate we eat. It don't even taste the same. Like, she had to get used to, you know, what real food tasted like. And when she sent it to me, I was like, well, God. And I looked at, and she was right. I looked at the ingredient. It's totally different, even though it's still an American company that's manufacturing it. They just
yeah,
have 2 sets of manufacturing standards.
I lived in
Exactly.
Europe. I lived in Europe for like 6 years, and there are things that they will not allow for you to use in the process of making their food. And like she was doing, like she was getting used to eating the food. That's the same thing. Even like when I go to South America, I go to Colombia every year, and it's the same exact thing. Like the food there is so much better and so much rich, especially like my meat's kind of the same because over here where I live at, they got the farmers market, so I get a lot of that from the farmers market and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I feel the same way about that as far as the food goes, but you know, you got to ask the question, how are they allowed to just be able to put all of these preservatives into our stuff, which is knowingly going to cause us harm?
Right, and check
And
it. The FDA is supposed to be protecting us from things that are harmful in the
harmful.
food and drug supply. So how are they getting away with doing the exact
But
opposite of what they
I'm
were
gonna
set
tell
up?
you, I'm gonna tell you why. It's called regulatory capture. Okay. And what that means is because of the revolving door that these so-called regulators have within the industries that they regulate, they basically just give a wink and a nod to whoever they're actually supposed to be regulating. So in the instance where you're talking about the Federal Reserve supposedly regulating the banks, well, they can't really regulate them because they want to go work for them after they get out of the Fed. Look at what what's his name did? Bernanke did. Bernanke went to go work for a hedge fund, Citadel, as soon as he got out of the Fed. So the Fed job was just basically the precursor to him making multi-millions, if not billions, working with private equity. But we don't know this, and we are thinking that these people have our best interest at heart. So we're sitting here led to believe that they're fighting for us and they're doing these things for us, when in reality they're only looking out for themselves. And that's the issue that I've been having with all that. That's why I said Trump represents that claymore mine that you throw in there to say, you know what, we're going to put an end to all of this, and if we're going to renegotiate this social contract, we're not going to just choose bits and pieces of it. We're going to sit down and we're going to renegotiate all of it. And I'm not asking you, I'm telling you.
Boom. With that, we're gonna go ahead and keep this thing off because it's 20 minutes after the hour. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass it over to Carmen so she can get started with the fundamentals. It's all yours, Carmen.
They pretty much did my whole part of the Zoom call. I don't have anything to say.
Right.
That's a lie.
Right.
That's a
Don't trip.
lie.
I was finna
That's
say,
a lie.
don't even trip, because you always got something to talk about, sis. Don't do that. Don't.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay, so I'll stop playing. We'll talk about some stuff.
Don't make me tell on you, Carmen. Don't make me tell on you.
Okay, look. Okay, I'll be good. Okay, let's talk about all the great stuff that's coming out this week, news-wise. All right, so I know I got some people on this call. I'm going to start out with this first. Who trade stocks. I need for somebody to unmute their mic and tell me, when does Tesla's and when does Apple's stock split go into effect?
The 28th.
Close.
28 and the 31st. 30th.
31st.
31st. There you go.
So both of those stock splits go into effect on the 31st. Why is that significant? It's not even significant because of Apple or Tesla. It's significant because for everybody who trades U30, you need to listen up, because the Dow Jones Industrial kicked out Exxon, Pfizer, and hold on, what was the other stock? Raytheon today. Those stocks have been in the Dow Jones, which is aka the U30, and forex for like years. Yeah, they got kicked out. So the reason why that's important and the reason why the stock split dates are important is because they can't officially add in the new companies, which are Salesforce.com, Amgen, and Honeywell. They can't officially add those companies in until Apple does their stock split. Why? Because Apple holds 8% of the weight of the Dow Jones, and Apple has to do its stock split. And once Apple does its stock split, then once the weight is recalculated, they can add these other three companies in and weight those companies. So if you go in and you search for the companies that are in the Dow Jones, you'll see the new companies. You won't see Pfizer, you won't see ExxonMobil, you won't see Raytheon anymore. You'll see the new companies, but there won't be a weight percentage beside of it. That won't come until next Monday, which is when the stock split happens. So with that being said, for anybody who's into stocks, anybody who wants to try to buy the stock split, be around for the stock split, technically, so if you guys were looking at the messages this morning in the group, technically, if you're a long-term trader, like meaning if you buy stock and you plan to hold it for like 5+ years, it does not matter when you buy stock because you just plan to hold it. But if your plan is to buy it and hold it for a day, a week, a month, you need to essentially try to get in at the best price possible. That best price possible at this point probably won't come for Apple or Tesla until after the stock split. solely because Apple's going through litigation in court over Fortnite in their iTunes store. They're also going through a stock split. So if you wait until next like Wednesday or Thursday, possibly even next Friday, because there is a set of options that ends every Friday. So you could have people who are trying to get in on a quick option play. So if you wait until sometime next week after the stock split, when the stock price actually pulls back, then you can get it at a better price than what it is today even. So, but if you plan on holding it long term, it doesn't matter. Go ahead and get in now. Just know you're going to have to hold some serious pullback once the stock split actually happens. So that's that. That's like the fun news for me when it comes to US 30 and the stuff that's happening for the week. But there is other stuff. So, all right. The next biggest thing, I'm not going in order. I'm just pulling up the Forex Factory calendar so you guys can see it. But the next biggest thing that's happening this week is Jackson Hole. Everybody's like, what is Jackson Hole? Jackson Hole is a, essentially it's like a financial conference. It's sponsored by one of the central regions feds. I think it's the St. Louis Fed. They sponsor this symposium, this conference where Jerome Powell comes in, all the regional presidents get together. It's almost like having a Fed meeting, but also having other financial individuals being able to attend. So what goes on at these meetings is essentially they talk about the economy, the economic future. They talk about the dollar. They talk about inflation, all these things. The biggest thing that's been in the headlines has been all the qualitative easing that's gone on since Jerome Powell has been chair. And what are we going to do about balancing low interest rates, the dollar, inflation, gold prices, all that and the such. So there was an article that Mr. Levels put out in the group this morning or this afternoon, and it kind of talked about inflation and how Paul Volcker and Jerome Powell are kind of doing things different when it comes to inflation. So a long time ago, actually not that long ago, but like a couple months ago, for those who are here, I was telling you guys, there is no way we can keep interest rates this low without what happening to inflation. Inflation shooting up sky high. Like something has to get balanced out. Prices have to be stabilized somehow. So here it comes. Inflation is going to have to do, we're going to have to do something with inflation. Inflation, we can't expect inflation to stay at the Fed's target with interest rates being where they are, with gold prices being where they are, with energy prices now moving towards where industry wants them. It's not possible. What we're calling hedges for inflation right now in the market are not true hedges or props for inflation. We can't continue to use these things. At some point in time, what I'm trying to say is we have to let inflation do what inflation is going to do, and that's go up. All of these external things that we have going on have other things that influence them. So that's going to continue to drive the price of the dollar down. It's going to continue to influence markets, our trading, all of that stuff. So there again, this conversation is coming back up. Inflation. Something has to be done about inflation. I kind of mentioned oil. Oil news comes out on Wednesday. So Jackson Hole starts on Thursday, but I'm gonna back up a day. Oil. So Oil's the next biggest thing this week. There are 2 storms in the Gulf. We kind of talked about that on Wednesday and or Friday. So at last count, 86% of the rigs in the Gulf have been shut down. There was a rig that had an explosion in the Gulf, but it was a natural gas rig. So what happens when certain companies know that storms are coming into the Gulf, they'll switch over. So they have 2 sets of pipelines. So whenever they drill, they might be sitting in an area where they can drill and get natural gas or recycle and like somehow like get their natural gas. And then they can also pipe gasoline. Well, there was a barge that hit this rig that had been essentially, it wasn't piping or pumping gasoline anymore or oil. It was pumping natural gas. It had shut off the oil portion because the thought process is if I'm piping natural gas and something happens to my line because of a hurricane, the environmental effect isn't going to be as serious as having oil leaking all into the Gulf. So they switched off the oil, turned on the natural gas, barge hit it, it exploded. So natural gas prices and oil prices, just because of everything going on in the Gulf with issues in Iran again. There are 2, I just lost the word. So like leaks, oil leaks. There's been 2 barges sailing from Iran from that particular area out, and one wrecked off the coast of Africa. Yay. The other one barely made it around the coast of Africa and it started leaking. Somehow it had a hole in it. So now there's like an oil leak on the west side of Africa and there's an oil leak on the east side of Africa. So like oil's not even making it to where it needs to go right now. So oil, last check, it was like $42.38, something like that for a spot price. Yeah, I didn't expect this to be how oil was going to try to move up into the mid 40s, but it is. The hope is that these storms go ahead, best case scenario, fizzle out or just go ahead and move through the Gulf and don't really interrupt gas supplies that much. One thing they're concerned about right now is the Colonial Pipeline that flows from Houston to Greensboro, North Carolina. And if there's a disruption in that pipeline, then that's like billions of dollars in lost revenues and damages. So that's what's going on for oil. Really got to keep an eye on oil this week just to see where oil is going, because oil currently is a partial hedge for inflation, and it's also helping us to kind of see how other countries are feeling about our oil, how other countries are feeling about our currency. So let's just keep an eye on it. The storms are supposed to hit like in the next day or so. And then there's another storm that just left the coast of Africa a day or 2 ago. And so they're trying to track where that storm is going. Hopefully the Gulf doesn't get hit too bad, put it like that. So I'm gonna start from the top of the calendar now because it's just news. It's a lot of news. I told you guys last week that this week we had a lot of news coming out. So tomorrow morning, about 30 minutes after the market opens, you got consumer confidence news that's coming out. Consumer confidence, consumer sentiment are 2 different news items. Consumer sentiment is what we had a couple of weeks ago on that Friday. That's what the University of Michigan puts out, where they only ask 500 people. The conference board asked 3,000 households here. So you get a little bit more of a diverse group of people who's being asked. Both of them are financial indicators and essentially give you an overall look of the economy from the consumer and like average everyday person perspective, because you're actually hearing from them how they feel. So that news comes out in the morning. They're going to talk about it a lot because that's going to be one of the news items that really tells government officials, tells everybody, you know, like, okay, this is how people feel. They're not happy, they're not confident, and they don't feel safe and secure and stable. So we need to do something, because if people don't feel safe and secure and stable with their finances, they're not going to spend money. It takes money to run an economy. And it also takes people having jobs to have money, to spend money, to make the economy run. So it's a domino and it's a chain of things that have to happen to get the economy to work. So at the end of the day, that's why this number is so important. So for Canada, 1:30, there's a speech. I'm not caring about any other speech this week except for Jerome Powell's speech. That's what the market's going to be waiting for. Construction done for the Australian dollar, for the Australian economy, is going to affect the Australian dollar. That news comes out. Their news typically comes out starting around 9. You get a few news items that come out at 8:30, but typically around 9, 9:30, 10 is when you'll find news coming out for the Australian dollar and the New Zealand dollar. Wednesday, news heavy day for the US because we get core durable goods and durable goods news that comes out that morning. So I always tell you guys, like, if you're looking at Forex Factory calendar, you can come over here and click these little folders and it'll drop down everything you need to know. So core durable goods takes out transportation items. If you ever forget what a thing is, what it means, what it takes out, what it adds in, how it's calculated, just click the folder and read it right here and under what it measures. So transportation is super volatile. It's volatile because the main portion of durable goods, whenever you don't look at core, so this is core. Core takes out transportation. So whenever you look at durable goods, which adds in transportation, it's a lot more volatile. It's going to move a whole lot more drastically, solely because with transportation prices, planes in particular are super expensive. Airlines aren't just buying planes every day. Planes are supposed to last for years and years. But there are parts, trains, heavy transport vehicles. Most companies only want to buy those a few times. So anytime you're looking at core durable goods, think about things that you wouldn't expect a company or people to buy that often. And that's what it takes out. And now you're looking at everything outside of transportation. With this 1.7% forecast. With transportation, it's 4%. So you see the difference in how they're forecasting it there. And even though it doesn't seem like a lot, 2.3% is a lot when you're looking at the US economy, because that could be billions and sometimes trillions of dollars of difference that's there. Told you guys I didn't care about speeches. We've talked about oil, and then private capital expenditure. That news comes out at 9:30 on Wednesday night. Thursday, again, Thursday is going to be another big day. If I didn't look at any other day for news, Thursday would be the day. I told you guys, like, Thursday has the #1 news item in it. I guess you could say 2 because Jackson Hole and then the speech are two different things, but the speech is happening within Jackson Hole. So just if you can't actually stream it or be in front of a TV, stream it if you can. If you can't stream it, try to read it. I have sometimes been at work with like earphones in, with my phone in my back pocket, listening to Jerome Powell. Sometimes the stuff that he says is that important, and it's going to move the markets within a few hours after, and you have moves that are happening off of stuff that he's talking about in real time. Sometimes it's not stuff that can wait. One thing that I do know for sure is that anytime Jerome Powell talks and there's some important news that happened earlier in the morning, he's going to bring it up. So Jerome Powell will have already had these numbers from the preliminary GDP and the unemployment claims prior to his speech being finalized. So he'll actually be able to incorporate these news items into his speech, or just have them as an add-on. So the preliminary GDP means more than the revised GDP. Why? Because this number is coming out first. It's preliminary. So we'll click on this folder, because I'm gonna try to refer you guys to the folder so you guys know how to like internalize all the information. So you click on the folder, and then here, what is it measuring? So the change in value of all goods and services produced by the United States. So we're looking at all the goods, we're looking at all the services, and we're calculating the value. We're looking at how much it costs to produce or make these things, and then their sale value. We're looking at the value all around. So there's a section where of one government website, I'll have to figure out which one, where you can actually see the prices or the thought process behind the price. And then you can see how much they were actually able to sell it for. And then any knockoff of price because of a tariff or whatever the case may be. So what we'll be looking at here is the preliminary, and I made a mistake because we're not the UK, so we actually have 3. We had an advance that came out, and I think for some reason I skipped over it and didn't really talk about it a whole lot. But we'll talk about this one whenever it comes out on Thursday. And then the final number, we don't ever talk about, because the number's been stripped away and revised and rewritten so many times at that point that don't care. But unemployment claims. We'll look at unemployment claims on Thursday as well, because we want to know how many new people have gone into the unemployment system. Last week, the number went up. It was not forecasted for the number to go up. We've been doing really good lately, having this number come down, but we've had this period now where, okay, the number has gone up. Is this going to be a new trend? And one thing that I've had to look at and try to figure out, like, why is this number going up? What industries are starting to cut back on jobs again? It's retail. So you can go to the Department of Labor's website, and here you can go through and actually find the very last unemployment claim data. And whenever you look at it, it'll tell you by grouping who actually filed for unemployment claims, which groups actually had to go to the unemployment office the most. And retail stores and then restaurants, those were the 2. So if you go to news and then click on economic data. So here A lot of these news items that we're reading over and looking at, the Department of Labor Statistics actually puts these numbers together and makes them into a very lovely report. Import, export prices and indexes. So this is part of the GDP. Productivity and cost, those are the manufacturing numbers that we look at. And then producer price index, consumer price index. Consumer price index would be one that I would say is important. If you go into the store, you see that an item costs $2.49. You come back 2 weeks later, that same item is $3. And you're like, what happened to the price? This will help you to see, okay, is it just your region or did that happen all over the US? Economic situation, these are our NFP numbers up here up top, and then unemployment claims. So it's a 12-page report. It goes through, it shows you a graph, and it'll literally take you through state by state. And this week, so this week they didn't actually put the, oh yeah, they did. Here it is. So by state, it'll tell you which state laid off the most job categories, and then which one laid off the fewest and which one brought back the most of a certain job type. So this report tells you a lot. I encourage you guys, even if you don't read through everything, just kind of skip to like the last 5 to 10 pages of a report that's more than, I'd say maybe 20 pages long, to get to the nuts and bolts of what they're really trying to tell you about. So the goal for unemployment claims is that it's at or under 1 million for this week. Again, we're listening for Jerome Powell to talk on Thursday. We really want to hear what he has to say. If nothing else, I want to hear Jerome talk about the Fed's plan for a digital dollar, which, since Jackson Hole does incorporate and bring in a lot of financial leaders and officials, that should be something that comes up, especially since it's been publicized and people are going to have questions about it potentially. That needs to be brought up. And then inflation, our dollar, where does the Fed see our dollar going? And then at some point, our Fed has to address the debt. We can't continue to go on and have right now roughly 30-ish some odd $1 trillion of debt that we're not addressing. We have to spend money every day to continue to run as a country. We can't just not pay for stuff. We have to depend on other countries to help us run, and they depend on us. And that requires money, that requires an exchange. Just kind of going back really quick to the digital dollar, how are we basing this digital dollar? Because if China has a large surplus of gold, they don't have a restriction on how much they can buy or sell a year. We do. So are we taking that restriction off? Because the 400 units that we're allowed to buy and sell every year, that's not going to cut it if we're trying to get to independence away from the dollar onto some type of digital system. Pending home sales, this is just another signal of economic growth. Home sales means a mortgage, means steady income, means you have a job. That's going to help you to provide for that. So people right now who will even be looking at trying to buy a home have either a lot of savings, a steady job, or they've just gotten, a good deal. But that's going to help us to see how, I'm trying to scroll, these numbers up here, consumer confidence and home sales tie into each other, because if you're confident, you're willing to make a big purchase like a home. And those pending home sale numbers come from real estate reporting agencies. as well as contractors. And again, Jackson Hole, that's sponsored by St. Louis Fed. And this is where Jerome Powell will be speaking. So anyway, here's all the people who are attending Jackson Hole. So you have central bankers, finance ministers, academics, financial market participants. Financial market participants throws people off every time. And this is from around the world. So financial market participants, hedge funds, whales, as they call them in the market sometimes, people who just have a lot of money to really influence the market. These are people like George Soros, some of the students that he trains that are now billionaires, they attend Jackson Hole, Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger. You wouldn't think that these would be people who would be attending Jackson Hole, but they're there. Not there as a ploy or anything for their company, for their stock or anything like that, but it's just because of the amount of money that they hold. So when you get to a certain level of life, in life where you have money and you can influence the market just because of your net worth, they invite you to come to Jackson Hole. One thing about Jackson Hole is if you go online and look around the area where they have Jackson Hole, around this time of the year is when they always have the symposium. You can't get anywhere near Jackson Hole. You can try. I just looked last year just for the fun of it, and they usually keep it booked out as far as they can in advance. And Friday, we have personal spending. This ties back into consumer confidence, because if you're confident, you're spending money. Because if you feel like I'm spending this money, but I'm going to get it back, you're good. But if you don't feel like you will get the money back, if you feel in some type of way that your income is threatened, you're going to save. And so the forecast, as you can see, for personal spending is actually lower than the previous number, which makes sense because people are just uncertain about what's happening right now. A lot of people have sent their kids back to school. Now the kids are back at home, and, you know, you have to kind of restructure your life, restructure your finances. You might be spending more for food now. You know, you just think about all the different aspects of a person's life that could possibly change when their kids are at home, not at school, like outside of home. And then maybe you're having to stay at home. So, you know, the power bill's higher, you're using more energy, using more water. So there's a lot of things that are going on right now that could make people feel uncertain. So personal spending will definitely be a number that we'll take a look at. And so the Bureau of Economic Analysis, if you ever just want to sit one day and look at charts and just look at the economy and just look at how things work, sit down and just look at this website. What's coming out at 8:30 on Friday morning is going to be personal spending, and then it's going to be personal consumption, kind of an expanded version of consumer price index. So we'll be looking at different aspects of the consumer price index, but it's going to be measuring goods and services that are targeted towards and consumed by individuals. So consumer price index, sometimes they measure the consumer as being businesses and industry, but we'll be looking at this in terms of the individual. This is one of my favorite indexes to look at just because, I don't know, the charts are more pretty and it's more clear. It's easier to read. I'll see if I can find an old one. But essentially, whenever you're trying to figure out what's going on and you're just wanting a really nice look at the economy and how people are being treated and how people are spending, it's a really good gauge because it kind of looks at several different things at one time. Probably not going to find it on this page. But when I do find it, I'll put it out in the group for you guys to look at. Oh, here we go. For all of you who live in North Carolina, our numbers are always really high. I don't know why, but I mean, you would always assume Florida, Texas, California, Nevada because of Vegas. But some of these other areas, they're really interesting. Skiing, trying to think of some other services and goods and stuff that come out of some of these areas. North Carolina, the only thing I can think of is pork. Okay, we have several: pork, tobacco, oil, nuclear power. Some fishing. Fishing isn't really as strong as it used to be, but there should be a report somewhere. And we can go through and look at that on Friday. So Jamal, where are you?
I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina. And
Okay.
yeah, and this area is like number 2 in the United States for African Americans as far as like wealth and growth. And also it has like the most, some of the most prestigious universities in this area. We have like 9 universities and colleges in this area alone.
Oh yeah, that area is lovely. I actually just moved from Chapel Hill earlier this year. I really didn't want to move, but it was just going to be best for me and my work situation. But yes, the Raleigh area actually, so I take back what I said because at the time I couldn't really think of a whole lot of anything because I was thinking about agriculture, but banking and technology are 2 huge industries in North Carolina. BB&T, which is now Truist, and Bank of America have the largest hubs in the Charlotte area. Actually, their headquarters for parts of this region are in Charlotte, and then in Raleigh, SAS always makes either number 1 or number 2 as like being the best Fortune 500 company in the nation. That always used to be one thing I could say when I lived there was, driving through Research Triangle Park, people like, oh, you know where the SAS building is? Like, oh yeah, like who doesn't know where that building is? Everyone's always trying to get a job there. So definitely for sure. Tech is really big in North Carolina. Just speaking of Research Triangle Park, research is really huge here. We have North Carolina, believe it or not, in this particular region receives the most money for grants from the government because of Duke, UNC, and Research Triangle Park as a whole. So if you drive through Research Triangle Park, a lot of those buildings have gates. A lot of them are locked down. They're like that because they're either government owned, they receive a lot of government funding, or they're high level research buildings. So thank you for that. I appreciate that, Jamal. All right, and to finish up Friday, I said I didn't care about speeches. There is one other speech I do kind of care about hearing. It's going to be the Bank of England governor who's going to be speaking. I care about it because of Brexit. Who's ready to talk about Brexit? I'm not. Tamara. I don't want to talk about Brexit. All right.
Well, just give a synopsis.
They have a mess. Okay, it's a mess. I honestly don't know if they're going to make their deadline or not because they're arguing and they're fussing, and the EU isn't talking to the British government anymore about Brexit. That was actually a headline today in the independent paper that comes out in London. I'm like, why? Doesn't make any sense. But one good thing that has come out of all of this is that the UK has officially gotten its own passport now. So for UK citizens who've had to get their passports renewed, they got an official blue UK passport, and it has all the kingdoms listed. It has a huge crest on the front. So it's nice. They kind of stand apart from the rest of the European Union. How much they're actually how much they're actually going to be able to do with it, who knows? Because they have to get this Brexit situation finalized on paper. They've said a lot of stuff about citizens being able to travel. They've said a lot about passports and borders and security. We just have to see. Money is a big thing. They're arguing about who still owes who money, and if money doesn't get paid, and if Brexit doesn't happen by the end of the year, then it's just going to be horrible, because the agreement they came into this year stated that if it didn't happen by the deadline, then there were going to be these huge tariffs put into place, product markups, travel restrictions. And this was even before the coronavirus. So I'm crossing my fingers that they hurry up and get this done, get it out the way, so we don't have to talk about it anymore. Because I feel like if I hear tariff one more time in 2020, my head's going to spin. Like, we've weaponized tariffs. Tariffs were not used this way before. We've completely weaponized tariff. If someone makes us mad, we use tariffs, but it hurts our own citizens. So this is going to be the last thing I say, unless somebody has a question and I answer it. Tariffs do not hurt the country you put them on. So for instance, these tariffs that Trump has put on China does not hurt China. They hurt us, because a tariff is put into place to discourage your citizens from buying products from the other country. Almost everything we get comes from China. So you're pretty much just taxing the American people at this point. The tariffs that we had on France and Italy earlier this year, you might not have noticed it, but batteries cost a little bit more. Wine that came from France cost a little bit more. Imports, just anything that we would have gotten from them, cost a little bit more because Trump put tariffs on them. At some point in time, you have to take the tariffs off, because you really are hurting your own people, because you have to realize people are going to buy what they want to buy, and they're not going to care about your tariff. And sometimes the price change in a tariff takes so long that your citizens don't even recognize it. So anyway, that's all I have to say about Brexit, tariffs, speeches, Jerome, Hayden, Powell, and everything else on this calendar.
Hey, I
So,
have a question.
yeah, go ahead.
Wouldn't tariffs also like push like innovation or something like of that nature? Whereas like we look at how most of our medical equipment and whatnot came from like places like Japan and China, Taiwan, and now you have like this whole influx of companies and people making PPE gear. I mean, like even household face masks. People are at home making face masks and making money off of that. So wouldn't tariffs in some way push us as the American people to push ourselves away from dependency from another country?
Yes, that's the goal. The goal is to get you to not buy the product from the other country in hopes that a company or a person here will be innovative enough to do it. And then it can be an American-based company, because you guys remember the whole premise of what Trump campaigned on was not, aside from make America great again, was to bring jobs back to America. And one way to bring jobs back to America is to put tariffs on China, which taxes us, but it forces our hand to do better, do things we should have been doing all along, except, you know, profit taking and that sort of thing. Good question. Does anybody else have a question or a comment?
No questions. Thanks, Carmen.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Carmen. Thank you.
No questions. Thank you very much.
Cool deal. So
Good stuff, Carmen. No questions.
cool. Thanks, bro. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and let Mr. Levels get started so he can go over the technicals for the week. And if you guys have any questions about what I said or anything that he's going over, you know, you can put those in the chat, and I'll be looking at the chat while he's covering technicals.
Cool deal. Appreciate that, Coleman. Great job. Get up here. Hope everybody having a great night. Y'all doing all right?
No complaints.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Doing good. Doing good. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Cool deal. All right, all right. So as always, y'all know we start with the dollar. We got to see what the dollar got going on, because the dollar let us know the direction and the momentum of the other currency pairs that we trade. So with that being said, looking at the dollar last week, we did get this sell-off that we wanted to see. We got this sell-off, and then price started to retract once it hit our price level. And so I wanted to see this push the dollar down further, but as you can see, the dollar bust up above this right here, got back above this previous structure that we had marked. And so once I seen this breakout right here, and I seen that price didn't come back down and make another lower low, I took my field out and I measured the movement. And I marked my 70% and my 80% discounted price, and price come back down and it continued to be bullish. So with seeing that, it lets me know that the dollar is gaining some buyer's momentum. So I'm going to track the dollar to this price level here. And then I'm going to see how the dollar reacts once it hits this price level. And so with that being said, we're expecting the dollar to be bullish for now. the dollar could come back up here, and because I do want to see the dollar give us a correction back up here to this structure right here. I did have it marked, it was blue, but I erased it. This structure. So what I want to see from the dollar is something like the dollar give us a slow kind of consolidated bullish run. Yeah, it's like something like that. And then start to sell off again. Once we get right here to this structure and this trend line right here. So just my analysis. So with that being said, we can look at our currency pairs now. We're gonna check out Euro, USD first. This was a sale that I jumped in today off of this down move. It seems like we got a little head and shoulders about to form here, but y'all know the lick. Pull out your fill. Once you see price come down, break this low, cancel that uptrend. The price came down and broke this low, and then this dip right here for sure. When price broke this low and made this lower low, you got to bring that fib out, man, because the market talking to you. It's letting you know which direction it's moving in. Now you bring out that fib, you catch that bad boy at that 70-80% discounted price, and you jump up in there. Sniper entry every single time. Sniper entry. Now we gotta wait. So going back to the dollar being bullish, we know that the currency pairs that we trade, they move opposite of the dollar. So we know we're expecting the dollar to be bullish, then we're expecting Euro USD to be bearish. So so with that being said, I do want to see the Euro USD um, we'll probably see Euro USD pull back some before it starts to sell again. About 150 to 180 pip move that I'm looking for this week out of Euro USD. We'll probably get way more than that though, but at least 150, 180. But we do have to wait for this low to be broken and then for the swing high. Just like we waited for this low to be broken and boom. So we'll wait for the low to be broken. We'll wait for this low to be broken. And then we'll take the swing high. We'll take and measure the swing high of this move, however high this pulls back to however low price goes to break this swing low. If it indeed breaks this swing low, the price could by all means just shoot opposite direction. But if this does happen, then that is an indication that the market is going to continue to be bearish. So you will take it, measure the move, set your levels at the 70 and 79. I call it 80%, 70, 80% discount rate. And wait for the market to pull back. You could either have a sell limit in place, or you could enter by market if you just happen to be on the charts and monitoring the chart. So I'm waiting to see this low broken. I want to see another lower low made, and then we'll start looking for entries and improvement. Anybody got any questions about that?
Negative.
No, not right now.
Sure, you don't sound positive.
Yeah, it's a little fuzzy, but I'm getting it.
Okay, let me know, Brother Carl. I'll break it down for you now.
Okay.
So I'm gonna move on to GBP USD. This trade already playing out. We caught this buy off of GBP USD last week. And I wanted to see it come back up and then come back down and give us another retest. And now we see that it pulled back. It didn't come back up and break. There's a bit of a high right here. It came up and swung up under this structure that it was using as a support. So now I want to see GBP USD come back down and retest this lower, which I think we are going to get that move. And if we do get that move, then we'll see this liquidity taken out, these lows broken. And so we'll catch that swing high from this move to break these lows and retest this low. We will measure that swing high of that move. Take an instant. Right. Almost perfect. 70, 80%. And that's where we'll be looking to re-enter this sale. Stop loss will be above this high. That's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting to see GDP USD come down and test these lows, give us a pullback and keep it pushing. But right now, we're about like 145 pips, 130 some pips, depending on what entry you got in there on that field. Moving on, the NZD USD. This ain't anything that I sent out. I didn't send this out. I was just playing on the charts last night, and I marked this up last night because we didn't even trade NZD USD last week because I didn't like the way it looked. But looking at it last night. Now I'm liking what I'm seeing. I seen some setups, and so off of this move here, you see that we got that move here. So once I seen this move here, I seen this liquidity taking out these lows here. I seen a lower low made. Come on, keep it simple. Keep it simple. Once you see that, the market talking to you, you see like this was the move that broke these lower lows. This is the full move, but you got to decide what entry you want to take. I didn't see the market pulling back up here this year. I want to see the market continue to sell. So I take this swing high because this swing high was the move that broke this previous low in these equal here. So I take my field and I manage it. I measured it on a smaller time frame so I could have a better entry. I think those measurements that I just had up there, I did that on a 5 minute time frame. So looking at it on the hour, I would have to measure this movement like this. Like that. Either way, however you measured it, whether you charted it on the hour or like I did on the 5 minute, 5 minutes just gives you a better entry. But either way, your entry would have been here, somewhere here, or here. Your stop loss would, of course, go above the previous high, the previous swing high. And you enter the trade. Like same thing for Euro, USD, and GBP USD. I want to see this low, bro. And then we'll look to get in on the next swing high. Simple. So that's it for the currency pairs. I'm gonna move on to Bitcoin. This is the Bitcoin sale that I sent out over the weekend. This level right here was our take profit. We got half that move, and then Bitcoin decided to go bullish on me. So this was an opportunity for you guys to make some money off the idea trade I did that I sent out this weekend. Worst case scenario, you should have broke even or made a little bit of money. Now, Friday, when we did the overview for the week, Mr. Parson was asking me, should we go ahead and enter right here? And I told him no, because I always want to wait for the weekend. However, would have entered right there. That would have been, that would have been a dope move up, because it gave us that move up that I wanted to get to this take profit zone right here. So you've seen that, and I do think it's on probably, that was at 450 pips. Bitcoin could still give us that pullback, but now I want to see if it comes back down and retest the zone right here and how it reacts to it. Um, gotta stay above this zone for me to be interested in adding some more buy positions to Bitcoin. I do think Bitcoin may come back down here and give us another retest of this price level right here. So that's what I'm looking at for Bitcoin. I want to see how it react to the structure. Once Bitcoin give us a retest of this structure, and if it starts to pull back off of this structure, and then I'll be interested in going long on Bitcoin. So for now, we're just observing Bitcoin as well. Looking at silver, I want to see silver come back down and retest this zone again, and then I want to see how silver react to this zone because I still want to see silver come back down to $25 and eventually come back down and retest this low at $23. Yeah. I don't know if silver's gonna come out with that down and retest this low, but we should definitely see silver come back down and retest $25 right here. That's a very magnetic price level right there. That's a very magnetic price level. And from current price, trading silver, that's like 1,500 pips. Yeah, you heard me correctly, 1,500. So definitely be careful when trading silver. Make sure you're keeping your risk management in place, please. But yeah, so for silver right now, I just want to see silver continue to make these lower lows, come back down, retest this structure right here. And then I would like to see silver break below this structure, come back and retest it, and then give us that retest. See how she give us a little swing highlight here. I might let me pull this. This should go ahead and drop from right there. At right, come on, man. Take that bottom price level. Hypothetical because it doesn't even play it out yet. So I just want to see how good it plays out. So we'll see. But yeah, if we don't catch this move right here, we will definitely catch this move when it breaks this structure right here. We come back and retest. And we looking to get in right here, write it down. Don't look like a lot, but off of that structure here, that's like 775 pips. I mean, 767 pips. That's a lot of pips, man. So that's what I'm looking at for silver. Gold already done broke our structure. Looking at this head and shoulders that just formed. So we just seen price come up, take out this liquidity right here, and then start to sell off. So I want to see this swing high, boom, take out this low, come back down and retest this. So I'm gonna be monitoring gold heavy tonight. As soon as we get up in this structure, I'm selling. I'm adding sell position right at 19, and I'll send it out in the WhatsApp group the WhatsApp chat group, 1936, 1939. So right up here. You get up in there. As long as we don't get an aggressive bullish candle, aggressive bullish push through this structure, and we see price get right here, and the candles start to weaken, get shorter and shorter, and then yeah, kind of ride that bad boy down. Then that's that swing high. And then we'll ride them down to 1863 for about another 700 pips, 734 pips. So yeah, it's gonna be another good week for gold, because we got this sale off of gold last week. This was our entry for gold. This was our first entry. This was our second entry. We got about 700 pips last week, something like that. Yeah, 750 pips, something like that. So somebody say repeat.
Repeat.
Come selector. Woo, yeah. So yeah, that's what it is, man. So moving on to oil. No, we didn't do anything with oil last week. I told y'all that I do want to see oil come up here, retest this high, break this high, and keep pushing. So let's see if we can get oil to go ahead and start pushing, or either give us a spike down, give us a shakedown. As the Wyckoff schematic call it, shakedown, squeeze, as they say, and then you could just see all go ahead and take off, because it's already set up. This is just, it's too pretty. This is just like too pretty. All this, like all that money right there. Look, man, that's just too pretty. Um, so we could see price go ahead and start to take off, or we could see it straight down, the squeeze out, get retail sellers out, retail buyers out that's trying to buy this move too early. Allow this to squeeze, to shut down, get retail buyers out, and then push the market in the direction that they want it to go. Okay, that worked. Yeah, that worked. We should see. We'll probably see oil come on back down and retest $41.15 right here, and then push on up. Unless it's ready to go ahead and push on up now. But I have to see, in order for me to be interested in buying oil, I need to see this broke. I need to see this money taken out, that liquidity taken out in a retest. So even if the market do continue, just go ahead and pump up now. I ain't gonna jump in off of emotion, because that's like one of the hardest things to master about trading is the psychological side of it, the emotional side of it, you know. So even if we do continue to push and go up or it just comes up a little bit, I'm gonna wait for the retest and then get it rolling. So I'll be waiting for all to come back and retest this or break this structure and retest this structure. And then we'll be looking for a play for all. Moving on to U30, last but not least. U30 came back up, took out all this liquidity that we built up last week off all these sales that we were banging her in the head for. You know, she had to come back and get that money. U30 also looked like it wants to come back and hit pre-pandemic levels. What does that mean? Pre-pandemic levels mean U30 could possibly come back and make all-time high, new all-time highs. These were the all-time highs right before COVID struck, and then we see what happened, what they call the pandemic, the financial, the health crisis, financial crisis, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, U30 looks like it want to come back up and hit pre-pandemic levels, new all-time high. And it very well could. If you look at S&P 500, it has already done it. If we look at NAS 100, it been done it back in June. So could Dow Jones do it? It could. It could. Could U30 do it? Yeah, it could. I don't want to accept it, but hey, I don't want the market.
Just
So
out of curiosity, I mean, and Carmen, you may want to chime in on this as well. I mean, you think that is because of the money printing that, again, all of those are just simply making all-time highs? Because it's not like any of the fundamentals have really increased or gotten better to this point. To me, it just seems like it's just the inflationary push of all this money printing. But and that may well push it to new highs, like you said. But like you said, will you believe it? That's the question.
you want to answer that, Corman?
Sure. So, one thing I want you guys to get in the habit of remembering when you guys are looking at the indices is that these are companies. It's not the economy. We've gotten so, I had this conversation with someone who's not on the call, but I'll put our conversation with their permission in the group chat because it was very insightful and I think it's going to answer this question perfectly. But long story short, we've gotten so used to hearing Trump talk about how the economy is doing great because the stock market is pushing up. The stock market is not a indicator of how well the economy is doing. The stock market is lagging. So when I talk to you guys about the stock market and we're talking about it in terms of the economy, I'm talking about it in terms of where people are shifting their money. People shift their money from gold, silver, safe havens to the stock market for risk purposes. Stock market's high risk, everything else is low risk. So what you're seeing on this chart right now is purely 30 companies Right now, it's not even 30 anymore. It's 27 companies because remember, they just kicked out 3 companies. This is for the next week. It's going to be 27 companies and how well they are performing, how much money people are choosing to put into them. So it doesn't matter how much money the government prints. If these companies fail, okay, that's where the stock market's going. So I always want you guys to keep that in mind. Like we see this in forex as if it's a pair, but really you guys have to think like these are indices. You have to think about NAS, SPX, U30 as if you're trading in the stock market. You have to switch your mind, switch your frame of mind from how you're looking at it. It's not the economy anymore. It's companies, how well they are performing, how they're shifting their money around, and how confident people are in them to put their money into them. So for this next week, when you're watching this move, it's only 27 companies, so it should be U27 for like the next week. They haven't added the other 3 companies yet. They won't get added until next Monday. And then you're going to see U30 move different because it's not going to be a heavy pharmaceutical company anymore. Pfizer is going to be gone. Raytheon's going to be gone. ExxonMobil, one of the largest gas and oil producers in the US, is going to be gone. So U30 is going to move different starting next Monday. So just keep that in mind.
So,
Thank you very much.
so yeah, um, from the technical, um, side of it, from my point of view, yeah, I agree with what Corman is saying, and I do see another big sell-off coming for all the indices, um, and including US 30. However, being that we have been on this steady up climb in the way we just came back and broke this high like that, and then just came back and broke this high like that. And now we're above this high here. I see nowhere else for U30 to go but to come back up here and because you gotta know, man, that it's a lot of money right there. You gotta know that it's a lot of money right there. That price level right
So
magnetic.
possibly a double top.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, most definitely possibly double top. So that's what I'm looking for you 30. However, in the meantime, in between time, if we looking to get in on us a little something, now that we see this structure and bro, and if you think back to the oil trade that we were just looking at, it looks just like this one. I said I got to see this right here broken. It was broken. We got a retest of it. It didn't get a good strong retest of it, but you see this wick right here. If you look over, you can see that it came back down and retested this. Came back and retested that. So now came here and you see that. So now I want to yeah, this thing moving. U30, it ain't even gonna bump like that. It's gonna keep on ticking. You're gonna have to Yeah, we gonna have to go down to a smaller time frame. Because once U30 start pumping like that, it's hard to catch them. Hard to catch them. Let me see. You can definitely get it though. Um, go down to the 5 minute. Okay. 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 Let's see. Yeah, we can look for an injury right there. Yeah. Mhm. I got this new I got this new theory I'm testing now too, y'all. So I'm just gonna put these on here just to see something for future reference. Don't play these. Yeah, so we gonna wait for U30 to give us a pullback down about 28, 296. 28, 296. I wanna see something though. But yeah, I'm gonna wait for U30 to give us a pullback down 28, 296. See how that play out. Because I do want to see U30 down here to and retest all-time high. And even give us new all-time high. That's about 1,250. So if it is looking to retest these all-time highs, yeah, we gonna definitely take our piece of the pie. We that. Oh, anybody got any questions about any of
Only if you was going to actually look at G30 as well.
that?
Mr. Parson, because I know you had asked me the last time we talked about the makeup of US 30. So Apple won't be the most weighted stock anymore next Monday. It's actually going to be United Health Group. So anytime United Health Group moves $1, the Dow Jones is going to move 8 points in price.
That's good to know. I appreciate that.
Is it GUR or GER?
GER, German 30.
Yeah, well, it ain't popping up. Yes.
Are you on TradingView or MT4?
Trading view. This one, I don't understand. That shit be popping up.
You got to click on index. Just type in GER and then click on index. And it's the first one.
Look about like U30. That let me put it. I'm gonna add it to the watch list. Okay. Let me see. Yeah, nice gap right there. You knew that was good. Yeah. Good gracious. I wish I would have been trading U30 and I seen that gap. I knew that was yes, sir. That was good. I'm gonna keep my eye on that. Yeah, that was good. Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, stop loss. Go there. Like 67. Like, oh, this 5 minutes. Yeah, so that's like 7 pip. Like a 7 pip stop loss. Up 109 pip. That ain't bad. That ain't bad risk to reward at all. Yeah, so it look about like, yeah, you good? You good, Mr. Paulson?
Oh yeah, we good.
Cool beans, cool beans. All right, man. Appreciate everybody, man, coming out tonight, tuning in, getting this education, trying to better your trading skill, your trading knowledge, your fundamental knowledge, technical knowledge, everything, man. Y'all know the motto, man. Let your loved ones know you love them while they still here. And peace and love, everybody.
Peace and love.
What's up, everybody? Take care.
All right, everybody.
Peace and love.
Good night.
Night, night.